The protocol launched after the SNS for it to be decentralized from day one. It now has 1.3 million ICP staked on the protocol. That represents 2/3 of all the ICP in DeFi today. I staked with Waterneuron. And the goal of it was to enable liquid staking, which is one of the DeFi primitives that's present on every chain, but was a bit lacking on ICP. And so what we really wanted to do was kickstart this liquid staking revolution that enables a more flow of assets within the entire DeFi ecosystem. So now we're working on the second part, which is enabling more liquidity in every protocols on DeFi.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really kickstarted it with over 1.3 million ICP staked with an API that is super close to the NNS.
Now, moving on to another milestone that deserves attention, Waterneuron's NICP. This project just hit a major milestone, that is 3 million transactions. For a project like NICP, which is driving liquid staking forward in the ICP ecosystem, this is a significant achievement. Liquid staking, for those who may not be familiar, which allows ICP holders to stake their tokens while retaining liquidity. This means users can participate in staking without having to lock their assets away for extended periods. Waterneuron's NICP is helping drive this forward, and the success of liquid staking is critical for the broader growth of blockchain ecosystems. The 3 million transaction milestone is more than just a number. It signals growing adoption and understanding of liquid staking within the ICP ecosystem, which could have huge implications for the network scalability and usability. What's exciting about liquid staking is that it opens up staking to a much wider audience. It makes participating in the ICP ecosystem more accessible to those who want to maximize their earnings without compromising on flexibility. This could bridge the gap between institutional players and individual retail investors, creating a more diverse and engaged community. With the 3 million transaction mark, Waterneuron is proving that liquid staking is not just a technical innovation, but a strategic move that can drive adoption and growth in the ICP ecosystem. The potential for future expansion here is huge, and with liquidity becoming such an important aspect of blockchain projects, NICP success could be just the beginning.
All right, guys, before we get into it, I just want you to set your mind to not overcomplicate this at all. I'm going to make this as simple as you can possibly make it, because I know some people are confused out there, because Waterneuron is a little bit different than your typical liquid staking protocol. So I'm going to start here. When Waterneuron had the SNS launch, the original SNS launch, some of the committed ICP went into an 8-year neuron. The whole purpose of that 8-year neuron was to front load some yield to the protocol. That means when you stake with Waterneuron, you're getting access to some yield from that 8-year neuron. Another thing that you're getting yield from is the core of the Waterneuron protocol, which is a 6-month neuron. That's where your actual ICP goes. When you hit stake on Waterneuron, the ICP goes into that 6-month neuron. You're getting 90% of the yield from there too. So that's what this diagram is showing. I hit stake on Waterneuron, that's this step right here. And then my ICP goes to the 6-month neuron. In terms of my yield, I'm getting 90% of the yield from this neuron, which is a standard neuron on the NNS, nothing different, nothing outside of the ICP norm. And then I'm getting 90% yield from this 8-year neuron as well. You know, the longer you stake, the higher the yield, the higher the maturity reward on ICP. So you're getting 90% here, 90% here. So you're getting yield from 2 directions. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. Now I'm going to explain a little bit more, but in terms of just the basic, where does my ICP go and how do I get yield from this platform? That's it. Please do not overcomplicate it any more than that. You're getting yield from neuron number 1 and yield from neuron number 2. Neuron number 1 is that 8-year neuron. Neuron number 2 is the 6-month neuron. That is it. That's why the yield is higher than the NNS, because you're getting 2 yields from 2 directions. That's it. Now, over time, the impact of this yield on the Waterneuron staking protocol is going to reduce over time. Not because anything's changing about the 8-year neuron, but that's a set amount of ICP that's in here, and it's not being augmented, right? So you add more people to the platform, they're all sucking up a piece of the pie from this 8-year neuron. So over time, the impact of this yield is going to be mitigated by hordes of people leveraging the platform. So the earlier that you get in, the more you get to consume some of the yield from this 8-year neuron. But the more people that join, the more this neuron is going to grow. Because remember, that's where the ICP goes. It goes right into this 6-month neuron. So this is the real star of the show is right here. Because this is going to allow you to keep your ICP liquid, because you're going to get your NICP after you hit stake on the Waterneuron platform. So that takes care of the basic, right? I didn't even mention here, but the last 10% from both of these neurons is going to anyone who is staked with the governance token, the WTN token. So same thing. You're getting yield from two directions. You're getting yield from the 6-month neuron and the 8-year neuron. That should not be too complicated, especially to somebody that understands what a neuron is, where to go to create a neuron, and to stake your ICP in a neuron. Like, that's it, guys. We shouldn't overcomplicate it. So now let me answer some other questions. When you go to
is to enable NICP to flow more fully into the ecosystem. We've been able to capture a lot of the ICP in DeFi. We like 2/3 of them are in Waterneuron, so we do have an early lead right now. We need to make sure that all the NICP that are in the protocol are put to good use, and right now that's not the case. Right now, only 8K of the NICP.
Of the 1 million, 1.3 million. Okay.
Yeah,
So
only
there
8K of it is in DeFi, or maybe a bit more, like 20, 30. We ran some numbers last week. And we want to make it easier for people to put it into liquidity pools. However, liquidity pools are a bit scary to a lot of the users who stake with us. We've realized this, and we want to build some new features that would allow you to be in liquidity pool without having to fully understand how it works. And we want to facilitate these transactions for you. So it would mean that right now, one of the issues is, like, if you go into a liquidity pool on ICP Swap, you need to rebalance your position because the protocol exchange rate changes daily. And that means a lot of care around your position, which most people do not have, to be honest. We want to build something which enables you to deposit your NICP, and we do the rest. But we enable more liquidity throughout the DeFi ecosystem. So we managed to seize a large portion. Now you want to make sure that the portion we seized is used correctly. And that I think would enable us to capture more and more of the ICP and put all of those ICP to better use. So right now we need, like, okay, there's nearly $50 million, right? We need to have a pool where the liquidity depth is at least $5 to $10 million, because then you can allow whales and institutions to come and swap.
Yeah.
And those are the big players that you need to be able to let in to your environment and play.